Man, so I was sitting here yesterday and contemplating what is going on, what is happening to the internet, because Rumble wouldn't open, YouTube wouldn't open, and I'm trying to figure out why nothing's working. X wasn't working yesterday. And remember how I said, hey, I'm sorry that we're starting 5-6 minutes late because the internet's going slow today. And I was like, is it raining? And I'm like looking around going, is the weather bad or something? I made that joke. Well, I'm going to be vindicated and showing you the receipts as to, I'm not lying to you guys. And not that you care all that much, but I'm sure you heard there was a massive cyber attack on Elon Musk and Rumble yesterday, which gives a little bit of credibility as to why my stuff wasn't working yesterday morning. You know how it is right when we kick off the show. We're still waking up. We're still a little sleepy. But Patriots, it's good to be back with you on this fine Tuesday morning. It is, in fact, March 11th. Donald Trump is still putting in the work, but we're going to go a little bit deeper today and try to figure out who's going to be the next candidate of the Democrat Party, because right now they're lost. And those aren't my words. You will see today that is their words. They don't have a leader. They don't have a strategy. They don't have a plan. And they don't have an agenda. And I believe, as you saw in the thumbnail, there is only one person that could take the torch from Joey. And Joey still thinks that torch is a birthday candle. Sir, it is not a birthday candle. Stop trying to blow it out. And I think that is Gavin Newsom, and I'll explain why as we go through today's episode. Right now, Donald Trump has an opportunity through this administration to really pound through and create a shell of the Democrat Party. But here's the kicker. If Donald Trump doesn't do everything he's going to say he's going to do, if he doesn't turn the economy around, if he doesn't actually pull through on Doge, if he doesn't make America great again, which we all want here on the show, and for Americans, well, we're in big trouble because Donald Trump ain't running again. And whoever has to run after him, which is probably going to be J.D. Vance, you might have Marco Rubio on that stage, Ted Cruz possibly, Vivek Ramaswamy. You're going to have all these people stepping on the stage again. And they're all working for Donald Trump. They're all working to try to make America great again. So we're going to have a problem if he doesn't do it, meaning you just probably lost the next election. And you might be handing it to Gavin Newsom, which if you want to take a little bit of a glimpse and a sneak peek at to what America will look like under his administration, well, look no further than the state of California, who doesn't have a correct budget, has lost millions of dollars. And by loss, I literally do mean just gone up in the air. Massive illegal immigration, massive crime, gang-ridden area, garbage everywhere, streets not clean, homeless strewn out, drugs happening on every corner. It's mind-blowing. But let's jump a little bit into the news. Patriot, it's good to see you guys. Look at you in the chat. It's blowing up over here on Rumble. Holy lordy. Rumble's growing. So is YouTube. Well, here we go. X, major outages. Elon Musk says massive cyber attack to blame. And I believe, just based on what I read yesterday, massive is an understatement. Billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk responded after X, a social media platform he owns, faced multiple outages around the world yesterday. Outage tracking website downdetector.com tracked outages beginning just before 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, lasting up until past noon yesterday. And you had reports of more than 20,000 outages, reached nearly 40,000. And he's saying that there was first protest against Doge, then Tesla stores were attacked as well. Now X is down. I couldn't rule out the possibility that this downtime is a result of an attack on X. Well, he was claiming it had to be something the size of basically a country. I was also hearing reports later yesterday, that's not necessarily described in here, that the initial reports, which spiked around 5 a.m., included just over 10,000 reports from the United Kingdom. I was hearing that this possibly could have came from inside Ukraine. That was the last update report that I was hearing from. So that's really all we have here. But again, wanted to bring the receipts that your boy's not lying to you. We did have a reason for starting late yesterday, and it's, well, Rumble wouldn't open. Rumble wouldn't load. So it's always nice to give a little bit of credibility and show people receipts. But I appreciate your guys' patience nonetheless. I really do. Thank you for thank you for bearing with me yesterday as we started 5 minutes late, which really isn't, 5 minutes is 5 minutes. Come on. Now, let's move into a little bit of different aspects of the news. We're going to get into a little bit of the illegal immigration. Now, why is this important? Donald Trump just isn't doing enough. I know, I said enough. He's doing something, and I love it, what he's doing. He has secured the border. He has the military down there. He is building the border wall. He has razor wire on the border wall. He has more technology on the border wall. He's actually using aircraft on the border wall. I love what he's doing. I want to be clear on that. But remember, today's theme and today's agenda is the Democrat Party may have found their next candidate. Meaning this next candidate is just going to reverse everything Donald Trump's doing. And it's not hard. He doesn't build the wall. All he has to do, the next candidate, is just remove the military from the southern border. And, well, you have this whole problem once again. So he has to make sure he gets that border wall built. He has to make sure in these next 4 years that he actually gets the funding he needs so he can get more agents down there and actually secure the border. We'll see if that takes place. But Gavin Newsom, he's a strategist. The guy's not, I don't like him. He's my governor. I didn't vote for the guy, but he's also not an idiot. He knows how to play ball. He is no Joe Biden. He is no Kamala Harris. And I really do think this is going to be the Democrat Party's front runner. I don't know a single person out there in the Democrat Party other than Gavin Newsom that could probably take the torch. And the media will do everything they can to uplift this guy. And if you notice, Gavin Newsom started a new podcast. Rather than governing the state of California, he started a new podcast. And I think he's doing it for a couple reasons. One, to show him in a different light, to make him seem more moderate. He is not moderate. Don't be fooled by that guy. Not that anybody in here is going to vote for him. Don't be fooled by him. That dude is hardcore lefty, man. This fool is like borderline communist, socialist, somewhere around that theme. Don't be fooled by him. This guy knows his stuff. He ain't like Kamala Harris and Joey. And the media, like I said, will puppet him up. So I have a clip here from the media that gives you a little bit of taste of not only what they're doing to Donald Trump right now, but don't be mistaken. They will uplift Gavin, probably starting in a year or so. Mark my words. We're usually right. We're usually sometimes ahead of the news cycle by an entire year. Margaret Brennan here tries to emotionally blackmail DHS Secretary Kristi Noem about separating families. Check this out.
The administration has revived this policy of detaining migrant families, parents with children, in ICE detention centers. Bush did it, Obama did it, Biden did not. Have you seen these Texas facilities where children are being held with their parents? Are you comfortable with it personally?
We've got detention facilities across the country, and there's specific ones that are built specifically for families if they are detained. But remember, everybody has an option. They have an option to be here legally or illegally, and they can self-deport as well. We've set up a system and a website where people who are here illegally right now can register, and they can choose to go home on their own and keep their families united. Well, the kids do have a choice. If they have parents, they make a choice to keep their families together if they want to, or not. If parents make a decision to leave their children behind, then that's a choice that they made as a family. And we need to remember that when Americans break the law and they have consequences or face a situation, they're separated from their families too. I don't believe we should prioritize people from other countries above Americans.
But when it comes to reviving the policy of separating families from their children at the border,
we're actually reviving it. It's
That's what I want to ask you.
President Biden didn't follow the law. He didn't follow the law in the fact that it's always been equally applied until his administration. And then he made decisions to ignore federal law in how he handled immigration and enforcement within our borders. And so
she's not wrong. She was good. It's always interesting to me how the onus is put back on us. That as if we're doing something wrong as Americans of following our own laws, executing the laws on the books that you're supposed to do as the executive branch, especially as the Department of Homeland Security. And it always boggles the mind that you're talking about separating families here, but there's never an acknowledgement from the Democrat Party of the fact that there's illegal families that separated themselves and sent their kid through an entire desert being raped by a smuggler or a drug trafficker or a sex trafficker. Don't even know which one it is anymore. And, that's all fine and dandy, but God forbid that we separate families because it's not actually their family in some cases. It's some rando that raped the little girl, and she's probably stoked that we got rid of them, but the Democrats love that type of stuff. Remember, folks, some are saying Newsom, our boy Jeff here to be specific, and I love you, Jeff. Newsom is not a popular politician, and the people of California and the rest of the United States knows he's a phony. But remember, you want to know who is also a not very popular candidate? You want to know who is also a phony? And I said both at the time. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris never made it to the Iowa caucus. And when you have the full force of the bureaucrats, the Democrat Party, the legacy media, and the whole gambit, they will uplift a candidate. Doesn't matter how bad of a candidate you are. We just got done having Joey for the last 4 years. And then they chauffeured out Kamala Harris. And she was a pile of doo-doo. Gavin Newsom could very well take on that torch, and he's a lot better speaker than Kamala Harris. He's a way better speaker than Joe Biden. And I'm telling you, don't sleep on the guy, folks. I'm here. I'm telling you, we're not very wrong very often. I don't even know if I said that right, but let's jump into the next article. We got California. Prosecutor said he's already charged more illegals than Biden did in 4 years. So big change taking place, of course, of the entire Biden administration. The United States Attorney Office for the Central District of California charged 128 illegal immigrants with crime of illegal entry. Now, you might be thinking only 128. No, that's a big deal for the state. That's a huge deal. If it was 10, that's a huge deal. It has already matched the less than 2 months into President Donald Trump's term. Joe McNally, the acting U.S. attorney for the district, told the Daily Wire that he's already charged 126 illegal aliens for re-entering the country after previously being removed. He said this is more charges on this crime than the office has ever charged for the crime in a single month in history. It's like we're shattering records here again. McNally says that there was no shortage of potential offenders in Los Angeles. Oh, well, I guarantee you that. And the 6 other California counties the office covers, but the previous leadership had no interest in enforcing immigration law. I want to tell y'all something. I go up to LA every now and then. I try not to because it smells bad. There's a lot of vagrants, a lot of homeless, a lot of prostitutes, a lot of homeless encampments, business being shut down, crime is going rampant. So I try not to put myself in a situation that I know could lead to disastrous consequences. Well, I haven't been up there in quite some time. And let me tell you, on the way there is a lot more graffiti than the last time I was up there. Noticeable. All over the freeways, all over the underpasses, all over the overhangs. Graffiti was everywhere. And it reminded me of when I was a kid of what LA used to look like back when you had the gang wars and the gangs were kind of escalating, both not on the East Coast, but also the West Coast. And you had the violence going against one another. Luckily, the sidewalks and streets were a little bit cleaner, but you want to know why? Because it's been raining here a lot, and it just got done raining before I got there. So it's raining again today, and that helps clean up the streets because Gavin Newsom won't do it. Neither will the Democrat Party. The Democrats will just throw their trash on the ground and leave it up to a Republican to clean it up. The U.S. Attorney Office is enforcing longstanding immigration laws, and illegal aliens who defy lawful removal orders by returning to his nation will be prosecuted. Charge McNally, who was named to this position just this year. Now, baby steps for them. Okay, we're sitting here going, well, that's not that big of a deal. It's 126 when you have millions of illegal aliens present. And I'm talking about criminals, folks. We're not talking about the guy that's just trying to feed his family, yada, yada, yada. We're talking about rapists, murderers, drug traffickers, violent gang members, arsonists, assault rapers. I mean, the whole thing is here. So this 128 ain't nothing, but it's a starting point. Is there gonna be dark MAGA tonight? You bet your ass there's gonna be dark MAGA tonight, baby. We already got the hat queued up. We will be doing dark MAGA tonight. It is Tuesday. Every Tuesday, Thursday, around 4 p.m., 5 p.m. We will see Pacific Standard Time. But come join us. We had a pretty good turnout last night, and it's a lot more close, tight knit because there's not hundreds of people in the chat. It's a great time. So if you have an opportunity to grab Rumble Premium, it is on Rumble Premium only. And there is a lot more people in there than I thought. Folks, just to let you know, even if there's not a lot of people in the chat for Dark MAGA, for it being on Rumble Premium, we get the same amount of viewership that we do with our normal show that's absolutely free to everybody. That is crazy. My jaw dropped when I saw the views on that. So shout out to everybody with Rumble Premium. Thank you for supporting Rumble on their behalf. They didn't pay me to tell you that. They ain't telling me to tell you that. I just want to thank you. So come hang out with us tonight. It'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, Dark MAGA. It's different. It's different. We get a little more spicy in here. Well, Bill, I still can't get this guy's name right after 4 years. His last name, you know who Bill is. He covers the southern border for Fox News. The guy's been down there for a while. And, well, he's having trouble now under Trump administration of just getting a single migrant caught on camera. Things are so like a desert down there at the southern border. They can't even find them when they're trying to.
I mean, after spending years down there to see the numbers the way they are now, I knew they were going to go low. Never could I imagine this low. Where VP Vance was in Eagle Pass the other day, December 2023, when things were at their all-time worst, you were getting like 3,000 to 4,000 crossings there a day. There were just 14 there the other day. Yeah. If Fox were to send me down there right now, I'd have trouble finding a single migrant on camera. Completely different than what we're used to. So, I mean, after...
But I thought the Democrats said that we need to put legislation in to secure the border. The border can't be secured if we don't have Congress acting. Folks, you heard it from Joey. You heard it from Kamala Harris. You heard it from Karine Jean-Pierre. You heard it from Jake Sullivan. You heard it from John Kirby. You heard it from everybody there at the prior administration, the Biden administration. Well, you need Congress to act. It's Republicans' fault. Yeah, Republicans won't do it. And our talking point was, well, you had all three branches of government when you entered in the office. So why didn't you secure it then? You have the authority to send the military down there. Why don't you do it? And what was our answer? Because Joey doesn't want to. It was the simplest answer there was, and that's usually the answer there is the simple one. Joey and the Democrats just didn't want to secure the border. That's what it came down to. Obviously, they're not going to admit it. As to why, I'm not really sure. Because their actions already show us that they didn't want to do it. So why not just claim that action and say, no, yeah, I'm not going to enforce the law. I'm not going to do it. At least your mouth is moving with your feet. But anywho, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, hit that like button. Greatly appreciate everybody that joins us each and every morning. And I want to say thank you for your nice comments you guys throw in the comment section every now and then. It does uplift me. We do get attacked by the left quite a bit, let me tell you. And it's always appreciated when you guys drop your comments in there and kind of overshadow or bring light to the fact that the show is somewhat okay, somewhat good. More Cali news. Again, Gavin Newsom is somebody that I believe is the only Democrat right now that is capable of passing on the torch. I think Kamala Harris is still unpopular. She still got a ton of views, but that was with a lot of money being pumped into that whole campaign, which still went over budget. They were in a deficit and couldn't pay their own staffers. Gavin Newsom, he knows how to talk. He knows how to walk. He don't know how to govern. He doesn't know how to lead. But boy, oh boy, is the guy scummy. And that's exactly what the Democrats are looking for. Well, there's a Cali judge here that let man avoid jail time. And this man pleaded no contest to groping a mother and then smashing her face with a rock to avoid jail time because of marijuana use and mental health issues at the time of the attack. Now, if you're unaware, this also goes all the way down to the education system and to the individual. If an individual has any sort of mental health issue in the state of California and probably in some of your states, well, they can opt out of whatever thing they want. Mental health is absolutely anything nowadays. And what I mean by that is, if you are experiencing any sort, and I mean that, there's a spectrum of stress, right? If you are experiencing any sort of stress that is deemed mental health, you don't got to go into work. You don't have to take a test. You don't have to go to school. You could go talk to somebody and you're completely opted out of everything. And I am not joking in the slightest. Jed Mann says, thank you, Brad, for all your information. No, thank you for watching the show, and thank you for joining us over at Rumble. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Thank you guys for your nice comments. We love your show. Thank you, Lulu. I appreciate that. God bless you guys. Trevor Lee, 38, faced up to 9 years in state prison, an additional 18 months in county jail after he pleaded no contest to assault with a deadly weapon, sexual battery, and mayhem. Instead, Sonoma County Superior Court Judge Dana Simmons sentenced him just to 4 years of probation for an attack, which he occurred on October 30th, 2023. The individual's attack left a mother, who has not been identified, permanently disfigured. So it wasn't just a small little head bash, was it? The lady's eyes probably drooping, and that's not me trying to be funny. Prosecutors said the woman left her home in Santa Rosa with her 13-year-old daughter, 13-year-old cousin, and the family dog shortly after leaving her apartment. This scumbag approached the woman from behind and pressed up against her. When the mother tried to get away, the individual began punching her in the head and grabbed a rock, which he used to repeatedly bash in her face. He also ripped off the woman's shirt and bra during the attack. Two bystanders managed to pull the individual off the victim and hold him until Santa Rosa Police Department arrived. I guarantee you those two bystanders were probably men. Men saving women once again. But remember, men are bad. Men are terrible. Women don't need men is what I was told by the Democrat Party. But I guarantee you at least one of those bystanders was a man to pull another man off. But it's fine because he had mental health issues, you guys. So why put him in? Why lock him up? He doesn't need to serve. He doesn't need to put in his time. And I guess comes down to the Democrats' thinking is that there is no consequences to one's actions. As long as they claim that they are experiencing racism, discrimination, mental health issues, you completely get opted out. If you are somebody that is experiencing any one of those things, well, there you go. Nothing happens to you. If you're an illegal alien experiencing anything, come on into the country, siphon our funds, everything's for free, don't worry about it. But if you're an American feeling those things in some cases, well, you get the whole onslaught of taxes, inflation, can't afford housing, can't afford your education. But if you notice, all those illegals get all of those things as well. Now, here's the kicker, you guys, is that, yes, this is taking place, but it's taking place in the state of California. If Gavin Newsom is the Democrat frontrunner, you can see us reverting back to Joe Biden's era. It will just be done in a lot more sophisticated way. It's not going to be an old man shuffling around the White House naked anymore. It's going to be Gavin Newsom, who's slimy, who is a very good politician, that's going to be doing all these things that you're seeing in the state of California just on a federal level. Here's the issue that I'm seeing is a lot of us might say, well, he's not going to get the votes. He's not a good candidate. He's not a good governor, a good leader. Remember, you have legacy media that will be able to puppet this guy up. You have the Democrat Party, who is very unified. We might not think so, but not a single Democrat stood during that address to Congress the other night. They are unified and they're very good in their messaging and they're very good at getting their point across and strategizing together. Donald Trump is not deporting enough illegal aliens. Those illegal aliens are still on track to becoming citizens at some point. Very well could under even Donald Trump's administration. We don't know what he's going to do. He and Tom Homan are not deporting enough people, folks. We're already almost 2 months in, and we are actually behind schedule. We are in a massive problem here because those people are going to vote for who? Democrat. They will, if he doesn't get rid of them, they're going to be citizens at some point, and it's going to be a trickle effect, but you don't need that many votes in these states, these swing states, to be specific, that George Soros is pouring billions of dollars into, if not tens of millions of dollars, we'll say, to be generous, to get these people their registration and to vote Democrat. Donald Trump won, but remember, if you look at some of these states, it wasn't like he was winning by millions of votes in these swing states. It was still a pretty good margin there. That's all the Democrats need to focus on for these next 4 years is those swing states and get Gavin Newsom into office. So please be careful. Please be careful. Let's not sleep on this. Maybe I'm wrong, folks. I'm projecting 4 years out. But what I think you're going to see is some movement here within the Democrat Party within the next year. Somebody is asking for my show email, so I put it in there in the morning. It's right there in the chat for you, TheBaldBradShow@gmail.com. If you guys ever want to reach out or hit me up on X, I am available everywhere, folks. There's no reason as to why you guys shouldn't be able to contact me. Just a heads up. I'm probably one of the most easygoing creators, podcast hosts, whatever you want to call out there, that will actually respond to you. You can find me email. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Rumble. You can find me via X. You can find me via TikTok. I mean, I'm pretty reachable, and I think anybody that's a subscriber here will definitely vouch to me that I'm there. I don't respond to every email. It depends what it is, but if you send me something, I pretty much look at everything. Yes, thank you so much, CC. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Thank you. Well, Trump is doing some great things here with the CBP One app, and I'm a fan. I like this little twist. Hey, it was already created. You already used taxpayer dollars on it. Might as well keep it going, but use it for other purposes. And yes, I'm talking about repurposing the CBP One app. Leave now and self-deport is what it's going with. The Trump administration has repeatedly repurposed a mobile application that the Biden administration used as a gateway for migrants to enter the United States, and will now use the platform to encourage illegal aliens to self-deport back to their home countries. Formerly called the Customs and Border Patrol One app, the app allowed hundreds of thousands of migrants to remotely schedule appointments at points of entry, allowing them to be paroled in the United States interior during the Biden administration. By the way, this is misleading. It wasn't even at points of entry. That was where they would show up. They could claim these appointments back in their home country, make the trek to the point of entry, and just the Biden administration will just flag them on in and into the interior of the country. They were given court dates. Some of these people's court dates are still happening, by the way. Donald Trump still is allowing some of these court dates to still take place, and some of them. And it's also going to like 2028, 2029. I mean, some of these court dates were like 4 or 5 years into the future. And obviously you're talking, years ago under the Biden administration. There's like 2 or 3 years ago, some of these people were getting court dates 5, 6 years into the future. Now, under President Donald Trump, the app will be updated to CBP Home and will allow migrants to submit intent to deport and verify departure from the United States. The app will automatically update on the devices that had installed Biden's version of the platform, allowing the Department of Homeland Security to track them for removal. Now, do I think this will lead to mass deportation? Absolutely not. I don't think these people will fill out that app. I think some will saying, hey, you know what? I'm not going to I don't want to face the consequences of whatever this action may be if I get apprehended or caught. So I'm going to go ahead and self-deport, which good move. Thank you so much. Beekeeper Captain says, I agree with you regarding Gavin Newsom. People I talk to tell me not to worry. Nobody will vote for him. As much as I hate to say this, but I feel he will be president one day. I tell people all the time, don't sleep on the guy. Not that you would sleep with him or on him, but you understand what I mean. I'm just somebody that is expressing how Kamala Harris was a absolutely horrific candidate. She couldn't talk. She cackled. She was not likable. As I mentioned, you guys, she did not make it to the Iowa caucus. She was that bad. She was the front runner of the Democrat Party, and they puppet her up within months. Within months, they could do it with whoever they want. I just think that they're going to do it with somebody that is willing to take a hold and carry forth their agenda. And who has already been taking forth and taking hold of their agenda for the last decade is Gavin Newsom. He's good at money laundering. He's good at taking money and putting it in places and having it disappear. He's good with illegal immigration. He's good with crime. He's good with the DEI initiative. He's good with the ESG scores. He's good with all this stuff. He's good with following the Green New Deal plan. He's good with climate change. This is I can't believe the Democrat Party has not already named him the front runner. Let me tell you. We will get to in just one moment. But you have Rashida Tlaib here, and she's saying to not crack down on Mexican cartels' border tunnel system. Now, I said that in a very wonky way, but it was the correct way. The House of Representatives passed a bill aimed at cracking down on Mexican cartels using tunnels underneath the southwestern border to smuggle illegal immigrants and illicit items into the United States. Look at this. The bill passed with overwhelming bipartisan in a 402-1 vote. Well, who was that one? Who wants to allow drug cartels, violent gang members? These people, I always share this, these people will cut off your head and use it as a soup bowl. They will wear your teeth as a necklace. Well, the lone dissenter was none other than an anti-American Rashida Tlaib, Democrat from Michigan. This is an individual that would love to puppet up Gavin Newsom because Gavin Newsom wants those tunnels as well. Gavin Newsom wants massive illegal immigration. Fox News Digital reached out to her office for comment, but did not immediately hear back. Of course not. She's probably sleeping like Joey did. She's not doing anything for the American people. The bill was led by Eli Crane, but enjoys bipartisan support thanks to its lone Democratic co-sponsor, Lou Correa, Democrat of California. It is also backed by 6 other House Republicans, including Michael Guest from, I think that's Missouri, Mississippi, one or the other, chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Subcommittee on Border Security. So it's just interesting that it's a constant theme with some of these progressive lefties, right? Now, some of the progressive lefties voted in favor of getting rid of it. Maybe their heads on a little bit straight, going, yeah, maybe it's not a good idea that women are being raped and murdered and killed by these cartels and sold off into forced labor, including children. Probably not a good idea. It's not a good idea, but it's taken them years to wake up to it. So I got to give credit where credit is due. Thank you, Democrats, for waking up on this one. It'd be nice, though, if you would allow Tom Homan into your sanctuary states, sanctuary cities, right to shelter, whatever the hell you want to call it, and get rid of these people that are doing the same thing, that are coming through those tunnel systems into the interior of the country. It would be really nice if you cracked down on that. We'll see if they actually do it. They got 4 years to figure it out. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. Who the heck knows? Who knows? Now, some of you always wonder, like, man, it's a morning show, Brad. How you sparking that energy? How you have that boost in the morning? Well, let me tell you, folks, we drink some of the best stuff out there. You always see me sit and wet my whistle because I scream into the mic so much. I'll tell you something. Weak coffee is for the weak, and at Rumble, weak has never been a part of the mission, baby. No fillers, no fraud, and no settling for mediocrity. Just like 1775 coffee, baby. It's single origin, small farm, hand-picked, specialty grade coffee that stands for quality, free speech, and calling out BS when it matters. Forget stale. Mass-produced beans roasted, just enough to hide the flaws. Dark roast hits like a Trump tariff. Medium roast keeps it bold without the bitterness and vitality mushroom blend. Real energy and lasting focus, baby. No synthetic garbage here for K-Cup pods. Whole bean and fresh ground coffee. Go to 1775coffee.com. Use promo code STUDIO for 15% off and start your morning with coffee that stands for something, along with the Bald Brad Show. Oh, and every dollar spent, by the way, enters you in to win a Cybertruck and $30,000 cash, baby. Cold hard cash. Who doesn't want $30,000? That's every dollar spent enters you to win. And by the way, not everybody gets this promo code, folks. Not everybody is getting this deal, which makes it more likely that you will actually maybe win that Cybertruck and $30,000 cash. Not to mention, a lot of you drink coffee in the morning. You might as well support 1775 and drink what we're drinking here on the Bald Brad Show. Nothing but the good brew. Now, I get the dark roast if you're wondering. And You know, that's how you get this right here, the Billy Mays OxyClean beard, baby. Now, you'll lose it on top, but it has to go somewhere, right? I mean, you can't have best of both worlds. Some of you do, but you sold your soul to the devil to get it. Change my mind. If you're enjoying what you're seeing and hearing, hit that like and subscribe button. Come follow us. If you're new here to the show, let us know in the chat so we can give you a shout out both on YouTube and Rumble. And if you're not following me on X, what are you doing? Follow me over there. Would love for you to engage with the community, with the patriots in the chat. We got a lot of great people here that come in each and every day, and it's a blessing to hang out with them. And I want to share those blessings by allowing you to come into the chat and don't be a stranger. Get to know everybody. Vance is saying something that I've been saying for years. Vance says increases in housing linked to increases in illegal immigration. Huh? Go figure, Mr. J.D. Vance, Vice President. Well, he argued on Monday that Americans forced to compete with illegal immigrants for housing in the United States are shouldering an unfair burden. Correct. It's simple supply and demand. And it doesn't just have to be housing. The housing goes also to the rental properties. Is that you can't build enough housing because you got millions of people that are taking up the housing. Look at the state of California. You have millions of illegal aliens in this state. People can't afford rent. Well, they can't afford rent because there's not enough freaking apartments to rent out to people, so it increases the demand. When you increase the demand, you increase the price because people are going to pay it because they need to live. Well, if you got rid of millions of people, turns out you just short up millions of slots in housing, so prices would at least stagnate. Vance spoke on Monday afternoon at the National League of Cities Congressional Conference in Washington, D.C., which I have a clip here in a moment, where he delivered brief remarks on the correlation between illegal immigration and the housing crisis. And for some ungodly reason, Democrats don't think there is no correlation. There's always generally a correlation or in somewhat an association. The question is how strong is the correlation between the two variables? I would say there's a pretty strong one. And not just here for the United States. If you recall, years ago, we covered a story where the illegal immigrants were making so much money here in the United States and giving free money and free perks that they were sending their money back to their home countries, which is predominantly what they do. And it was inflating the localities of those areas and was causing a housing crisis in their localities because they were able to outcompete the other people because they're making so much money here. It turns out that it's really easy to save money here in the United States when everything's handed to you and you're able to work. Yeah, it's pretty easy when somebody else is paying for your food, your legal fees, your education, your water, your utilities, your housing, the whole gambit, the whole bit. It's pretty easy to save money, especially when you're being paid under the table and you're sending it all back home and living pretty, pretty good, we'll say, than you would be with if you didn't have all those assistances. While you're all working multiple jobs at home trying to pay your own bills. So you're paying for somebody else's education, somebody else's food, somebody else's transportation, their housing, their legal fees, all that stuff. By the way, you're probably doing that for 2 or 3 families, but now you're also doing it for yourself. But don't worry, once you stop giving all that money, well, now you're not empathetic. You're a scumbag. You're not generous enough, right? You're selfish is what we're all being called because we don't want somebody else to have our money because we're not able to afford our own stuff. We have to pay our own bills. So a lot of us are having to take out credit cards or take out loans because we don't have money because we're paying for somebody else's shit. But now when we start wanting to pay for our own stuff and actually uplift ourselves a little bit here, we're deemed as being unempathetic. Yeah, we're disgusting people. We're evil, right? We're the hard right. We're hardcore. No, maybe we just want to pay for ourselves and have somebody else pay for themselves instead of us paying for everybody else's themselves. It's bull crap. Well, here he is. Talking about this is a very short clip. It's only less than a minute, but he nukes a heckler here who interrupts his speech at the National League of Cities, and he talks about how there is a connection between the two.
You go across the world and you see a very consistent relationship between a massive increase in immigration and a massive increase in housing prices. And we have to be honest about that. Well, I see one of our nice representatives out here wants to actually, I guess, continue to flood the country with illegal immigrants, making your communities and citizens unaffordable. But ma'am, with all respect, one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing is because we want to make it more affordable for Americans to live. That is one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing. You go across the world.
Again, it really is a mind-blowing thing that we're being told we're unempathetic, that we don't have a heart for these people that are coming here illegally. But whenever you turn the script onto them, right, and you tell them, well, what's so empathetic about them stealing our money and using it for themselves? What are we to gain out of this? And why isn't that money going to an actual American who might be just as suffering just as much as the guy that came here illegally? Why is it a guy that gets to rape women and murder them, why is he getting all these assistances, but yet an American who's just trying to get off their feet and is not doing those things isn't able to get that assistance? Oh, I don't understand why this person that's not an American gets better assistance than an actual veteran sleeping on the streets. When you bring up these cases, they go, oh, well, it's far and few between. Well, it is. And it should have never happened in the first place. That's the thing, is that it shouldn't even be a thing. So that's why you get to utilize it as an example, because this other thing that's here illegally, that's siphoning from the system, that shouldn't be getting this stuff, and it should be going to the guy that's actually American, that's, got his legs blown off, should probably get it, because this thing should have never existed in the first place of being here and siphoning from the funds. And Democrats don't have a strategy right now of how they're going to get across that whole argument that massive amount of Americans want what Donald Trump is doing to take place, whether it's talking about Doge, whether it's talking about illegal immigration, whether it's talking about figuring out the foreign policy, whether it's talking about not going into wars. It doesn't matter what it is. Vast majority of Americans support what Donald Trump is doing, which is why the vast majority of Americans who got the popular vote voted for Donald Trump in. Well, Democrats are lost. They have no answer who's leading the party. Democrats have been on their heels since the election. They've been on their heels the last 4 years because they've all been trying to cover up Joe Biden's cognitive decline. So you have Senator Elisa Slotkin from Michigan broke with House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries in the aftermath of President Donald Trump's address on, on Tuesday of last week. And she was the one that gave the response outgoing speech afterwards. Well, she says that I don't think it's a secret that Democrats have been on the heels since Trump won the election. They've been on the heels, but they're trying to strategize right now who's going to be their leader. And once they have it, you bet your tushy, people like Kristen Welker here of Meet the Press will be backing that person, doing everything they can to make it seem like they did nothing bad. And if it's Gavin Newsom, he's done a lot of bad, but they'll make it seem like he's done a lot of good. Very similar to what they did with Joe Biden. Very similar to what they did with Kamala Harris. Very similar to what they do with every candidate they have.
Who would you say is the leader of the Democratic Party right now?
Look, I mean, people know me. I'm pretty straightforward. I don't think it's a secret that Democrats have been on their heels since Trump won the election. Right? I don't think that's something hidden. And I think it's on us to be clear about not only leadership, and there's lots of leaders in both parties, but also a strategy, right? And I think that's something that as Trump has been successful in flooding the zone and just like every day 15 things happening, we are still finding our footing. And I think you can't get better until you admit you have a problem. And for me, that's one of the things that I think some of the new voices in the party have really been agitating about, right? New senators, new representatives, new folks who are like, hey, we need to do more, and we need to be showing that we're actually having a plan to stand up on really important moments of inflection. So that's what I'm trying to do from within.
They don't have a plan. Yeah, she doesn't have a plan. The media doesn't know what the plan is. And it kind of makes a little bit of sense here, right? That if the Democrats don't have a plan, they don't have a leader, the media doesn't know where to focus their strategy on said plan of the Democrat Party and backing said leader. It makes a little bit more sense right now that the media doesn't know what to do, and is why they're going in which direction with Donald Trump. Oh, we're talking about Russia, Ukraine. Now we're talking about Iran. Now we're talking about China. Now we're talking about Doge. Now we're talking about illegal immigration. Now we're talking about this, or now we're talking about... They don't know what to do, where it's a lot easier when the Democrat Party has a leader the focus is put on that leader, the focus is put on that strategy, and then the strategy is to start attacking Donald Trump on a specific issue. But because there is no specific issue that is backed by the Democrat Party, that's backed by said leader, they got nothing. So once you start seeing them hone in on something with Donald Trump, that's when your antennas should start to perk, going, they got somebody in mind, and that somebody in mind is going to be able to destroy Donald Trump on said narrative. We will see what comes of it. It's still really early on, but I always like being way ahead of the news cycle on these things. And like I mentioned, I can't think of a better Democrat than Gavin Newsom to run that scummy party. We'll see if I'm wrong, because Kamala Harris is still in the mix. She wants to do a 2028 run, but I mean, they're both bad. They're both really, really bad. And it wasn't just that individual saying that the Democrat Party's lost. Van Jones himself says Democrats are dealing with a massive identity crisis and issue here. CNN commentator Van Jones said on Sunday that his party was effectively broken, and unless Democrats found a way to recalibrate and get it together, they're going to continue to struggle with messaging and with reaching any policy goals. I don't think they're going to change. I think right now they just don't have a leader to give that focus of where it needs to be placed. Jones joined anchor Jessica Dean on CNN Newsroom Sunday, and she asked him to weigh in on the state of the Democratic Party, particularly after repeated disruptions both during and after President Donald Trump's Tuesday address before the joint session of Congress. I want to see if I have the clip here, and I don't, so we'll go ahead and read the transcript itself. Can we ask another question? Jones asked at first, expressing reluctance to go down that particular road. Can we talk about Ukraine or something? Look, man, we're screwed, Jones said, resigning himself to the topic at hand. I mean, we don't know. Democrats don't know what to do. This is the nightmare. You know, somebody like Donald Trump, we thought we'd at least have Hakeem Jeffries in the speaker's chair to hold him back if we didn't have Kamala in there to do the right thing. Jones went on to address some of the reasons he believed Democrats had been struggling, arguing that they had chosen a losing message in 2024, and it's still dogging them. Well, it turns out when you want to rip children from their families because the family didn't want to tell a biological woman that she was in fact a man, and that they're not going to call her Ryan because her biological name and her legal name is Jessica. Well, I don't think that's a winning issue for you to tell parents on how they're going to raise their kids. Now, to some extent, that's okay. To some extent, we should probably say, yeah, it's not okay that you're beating the crap out of your kid. But it's not a winning issue. It's not a winning issue when you tell people that an objective truth that they could see with their own eyes isn't the reality. There's a massive problem with that. They love to tell trans people through gender affirming care that they can transition from a male to a female. It is not possible. But for some ungodly reason, they think that's a winning message. It is not a winning message. It's never been a winning message. And a man has never been able to transition to a woman or vice versa since mankind was created. It's never existed in thousands and thousands of years. But Democrats think because something is make-believe that people will all of a sudden play into delusions. You don't do that to people. You don't play into somebody's delusions and tell them something that isn't real is real. Now, we do that with our kids, I guess, with Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and all that stuff. But at some point, you tell them, hey, heads up, that stuff's not real. You don't continue that charade. In the same way, you don't tell somebody that is starving themselves because they think they're overweight. You don't tell them and lean into that that thought process for them. You don't tell them going, oh yeah, you're fat. Oh yeah, you should continue not to eat. I'm affirming your fatness, even though they're 30 pounds soaking wet on the borderline of death because they've been starving themselves. Why is that not a thing for them? Why should we not be doing that? Why should we not be affirming that type of behavior? Why are you not affirming a schizophrenic? Oh, I hear the voices too, Jimmy. Yeah, I hear them too. Oh, I see. Oh, you see them? I see them too. Describe them to me. Why don't we affirm all those great things? See, when you start bringing up those types of things, they don't know what to say. Why, on God's green earth, when somebody is struggling with an eating disorder, why don't you lean into that? It's the same thing. They think they're fat. They're 30 pounds soaking wet, 5'9", all skin and bones, not willing to eat, throwing it up. Why not? Why not affirm them? Why not tell them that they're fat? Why not keep it going? You want to know why? Because it's all bullshit. That's why. And they know it is. And they don't want to admit it. And the thing is that they should admit it because it's objective truths. It's like somebody saying, hey, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and the Democrat Party telling you, no, it rises in the west and sets in the east. We can all look at it. We can all see it. It's not a winning issue for them. But you want to know what will make it a winning issue is if Gavin Newsom, somebody that's very scummy, is able to pull it off. And let me tell you, I think he's able to pull it off. The guy's very, very, very good at his messaging. Don't sleep on it. I'm telling you. You heard it here first. 2 weeks into the Trump administration, 2 months into the Trump administration, Brad came out with it, and we have it locked and loaded. Speaking of Democrats here and their crazy messaging, and this is something they still want to get behind, Democrats rally behind pro-Hamas Columbia University protest agitator. Yes, you are reading this correctly. Democrats rally behind anti-Israel agitator, Mahmoud Khalid? I don't know, it doesn't matter. After he was detained by President Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security, arguing that the move was fascist and authoritarian. It's always fascist. Donald Trump's the first fascist in existence to want to get rid of a deficit. That he's the first fascist ever to want to get rid of bloated government. He's the first authoritarian to want to get rid of his own leadership and to dissolve the power of the executive branch and the government within itself. Yeah. He's the first fascist and or authoritarian that wants to give the power back to the people. Anywho, Marco Rubio announced that the administration's plan to strip visas and green cards to anyone participating in activities aligned with Hamas. 100% love this. Love this greatly. A designated terror organization. If you want to go out and shout that you love Hamas, you love terrorism, you can leave the country immediately. Yeah. Not only that, I would love for them to send them to Hamas. That's what I would love. Why not? You love them so much. What's the big deal? You can go hang out with them. Oh, you're part of the LGBTQ plus IA Alpha Peace community. Go hang out with them. Yeah, no, they're going to love you. Just don't step on the roof of any building with them. Yeah, you might meet the dirt really, really quick, and you might not wake up from it. We will be revoking the visas and or green cards of Hamas supporters in America so they can be deported. The Senate Judiciary Democrats responded on their official X account saying ICE just detained a lawful permit resident and recent grad student in the middle of the night because that individual exercised his First Amendment rights in a way Donald Trump didn't like, straight up authoritarianism. Yeah. Well, just because you say it doesn't make it true. So we'll see what comes of this. But Rashida Tlaib called for that individual to be freed, doubling down on previous statements and blaming Israel for the fact that he and others were protesting in the first place. Free the individual. This is straight out of the fascist playbook. Criminalizing dissent is an assault on our First Amendment and freedom of speech. All of a sudden she cares about that, right? But if you say a man is a man and a woman is a woman under the Biden administration, well, you got banned, deplatformed, shadow banned, all that stuff, which is still what's happening to our channel here. Yeah, it all of a sudden we're worried about freedom of speech when it's goes against their narrative, but when it goes against what their narrative is, they want to go after us. Does that make sense? When it goes against what they want to do, and we get them for something for supporting terrorism or possibly terroristic attacks here in the United States, well, now it's going against their First Amendment right. But if we say the obvious, that a man is a man and a woman is a woman, and it goes against their narrative, well, they want to come after us and revoke all our First Amendment rights. Interesting how that all works out. Revoking someone's green card for expressing their political opinions is illegal. Protesting genocide is not a crime. AOC also joined in, taking a similar note. And the federal government can disappear a legal U.S. permanent resident without reason or warrant, then they can disappear U.S. citizens too. You mean how you got rid of U.S. citizens through the forced labor and sex trafficking of them? Is that what you mean? That's weird. Now, there was 300,000 missing children. Now, those are illegal immigrants. But some of the children that we know were sex trafficked and sold off in the forced labor were American citizens. Anyone, left, right, or center, who has highlighted the importance of constitutional rights plus free speech should be sounding the alarm right now. But what about those constitutional rights for those that wanted to go out and worship at whatever temple and synagogue they wanted to, because it was our First Amendment right during COVID? You were locking up grandmas, pastors, and congregation members. Well, what about their constitutional rights? Weird. What about my constitutional right to bear arms? You constantly keep infringing on that right. But because it's with or against your narrative, depending on what side of the coin you want to look at it, which side of the day, that's not a big deal. It's unbelievable. They're gonna throw and talk about rights in our faces, all the while they're the ones that are chiseling away at our rights. I always said this: the Biden administration wanted to put forth the Ministry of Truth. The Biden administration went after Facebook to suppress information like the Hunter Biden laptop. They admitted to it. Zuckerberg admitted that they were utilizing big tech to suppress and censor the speech of conservatives and Republicans, not a peep from any of these Democrats. But God forbid we want to do something about terrorists and those supporters of terrorism. God forbid we want to do something about that. I'm still, this is a random, we talked about it yesterday. We talked about an article where we were spending $400 million on Columbia University that has pro-terrorist supporters protesting on their campuses. Why are we giving these universities any money? Go fund yourself. It was bewildering to me that that was one university. Can you imagine the billions of dollars we're spending on these universities to indoctrinate people and have them coming out supporting terrorism? I shouldn't be shocked because you also have the Democrats finding there's 3 more Democrats that have been found, 3 more FEMA employees fired after probe into order to skip Trump houses. So 3 more. Keep tacking on the list of Democrat employees have been fired as part of the agency's investigation into guidance from a supervisor last year for relief workers in Florida to avoid homes advertising Trump. I don't know why the Daily Wire is not willing to say 3 more Democrat FEMA employees. And now I'm speculating, I want to be fair, but the reason why I'm speculating is if they're skipping out on Trump people, MAGA supporters, Americans, patriots, I think it's fair to say that they're probably not a Trump supporter, a registered Republican, a conservative, a patriot. They're probably something else. And I'm leaning more towards what. It starts with a D and ends with a rat. Has been fired as part of the agency's investigation into guidance from a supervisor last year for relief workers in Florida to avoid homes advertising Trump. FEMA acting director Cameron Hamilton sent a letter on Tuesday to Senator Marsha Blackburn informing her of the firings and announcing the conclusion of the agency's internal investigation. Hamilton said that the 3 fired employees were in the supervisory chain of the FEMA supervisor Marnie Washington, who was fired November 9th after the Daily Wire reported that she instructed relief workers in Lake Placid, Florida, to skip homes from Trump flags or signs after Hurricane Milton, which we covered here on the show. So they got fired, which is good. Seems like a lot of people are being fired right now. A lot of people are being laid off because, well, they're doing some shenanigans here and we're not quite fond of it. Not quite fond of it at all. If you're enjoying what you're hearing and seeing, hit that like button and subscribe, folks. Always appreciate your support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, I want to make sure we give a shout out to Bruce for, I believe it was Bruce, that gave some 10 memberships to the crew the other day. And I don't know if it's Bruce Rice in here. I was told that it was a Bruce that donated. So Bruce, I see you in here right now. Was that you? We would love to give you a shout out if that was in fact you that gifted those memberships. And whoever it was, thank you. But I want to make sure we get it out to the right person. We have here really quickly, Trump is signaling tariffs may go even higher here. I'm not liking the read in the wind stuff. I've already talked about it, but he's saying here during an interview over the weekend that his tariffs against Canada and Mexico may go even higher. The 25% tariffs that are set to go into effect next month, I believe April 2nd is when they're going to go into effect. We'll see if it actually happens. We have the president made the remarks during a Sunday interview on Fox News Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo when asked about whether his administration will start giving more clear signals about the direction that they are moving in with tariffs so business leaders are better able to manage their companies. We'll see what comes of it. There you go. Bruce Rice with the 10 gifted memberships. Maybe it was Bruce. I don't know. Thank you. I appreciate that. Bruce, we know somebody with the B here. But thank you for the 10 gifted memberships. That's really kind of you. Thank you so much. So everybody can grab those up and, get those going. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. People love you, Bruce. Bruce, you're famous. We'll see what comes of these tariffs. We will see what comes with the relationship between Canada and Mexico, but I wanted to make sure I at least give you that headline really quick. We got about a half of a month until we see what Donald Trump's going to do with it. He's been a little bit of a reed in the wind regarding these tariffs. I'm implementing that. I'm not going to implement them. It does look weak. You need to be a man of your word and just hold firm on it. And I think he's kind of realizing that it's taken a little bit more of a hit on the economy than he would like. And we'll see what comes of it. But again, thank you to everybody that joined us. We will be doing a Dark MAGA podcast tonight. So if you have Rumble Premium, head over to Rumble this evening about 4 o'clock. Most likely is when I go live. We'll see, for somewhere from 4 to 5 in that range. Usually we do it for about an hour. We'll see how long we go. But come join us. There's a lot of people that tune in. And it's a little bit more intimate. There's a little bit less people in the chat, and there's only one chat I have to focus on. So we spend a lot of time talking to one another, and we'll be going over some news and get a little feisty. With that being said, I hope all of you have a blessed day. Pray for one another. Pray for this country. Pray for Donald Trump. Pray for even our people that don't like this country, because, well, we don't want to go to war. I'll leave it at that. I don't know where I was going with that, but I appreciate you guys nonetheless. God bless you. Take care of one another, and I'll see you later here on The Bald Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.